plant, and we define plants specifically as intelligent being, or we ask the question whether they are intelligent beings. What we are really asking is, are they able to learn? Are they able to remember things? Do they make choices? Do they decide between options? And how do they communicate those options or those decisions, if they do, to others maybe? And well, the science that has been taking place now for the last, I would say, last few decades, really, slowly creeping in, show very clearly that plants are very good at doing a lot of these things. And not just plants, but other organisms that have no nervous system. And this is a key point, because the major issue for some, so the major point of debate, which from my perspective shouldn't even be a debate, but it is, hinges on the fact that how can it be possible that a plant or another organism like a plant that doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have neurons, and doesn't have a nervous system, can do these things that you're saying they're doing? And so, first of all, I'm not saying that they're doing it. We have science, and not just my work. My work focused specifically on learning and memory and decision making. But many before me, over the decades before me, had done work on plant communication, which is also like you're choosing to share certain information with others, and then you act according to what information you receive. So you had to again make a decision. What are you going to do based on what you're being given? And that kind of research was already in place when I kind of started delving into the plant research, and mostly focused on the communication with the volatiles and the communication underground with root exudates. And this is all chemical based, but we knew even from before then that plants are using light, not just to photosynthesize, but also to literally, in a way, see what's around them. So plants can discriminate colors. They will be able to see where a fence is. That's why climbers are so good at finding them and climbing over them. And more recently, we have seen work where, plants can find support structures and curl around them in a very exploratory way. So they explore the space around them. And then when they detect a structure, they're like, there is something there. And then they start climbing it. So it's not just like, I bumped into it and then I just grow in there. No, there is in a way, there is a purposeful behavior there. Someone is deciding, I am going to choose this structure and I'm going to build around my new, my new being. Now, the core issue then for some is, but how can they do all of these things? And when I started working on the learning aspect and memory, because one thing is to talk about, plants communicate with chemicals. It's kind of like, it feels like, I can kind of accept that. We all have experienced, imagine like brushing your hand on a basil plant. We all have experienced the aromatic, volatile that comes out of some plants, and we can connect with the idea like, those chemicals could, deliver some information, and, they could be useful for that. And we have an intuitive feeling that could make sense. But to say that the plants can actually remember, it's a different story, because we can't see that, and to say that a plant can learn, because plants move, but at a time scale that is so different from us that we feel like they don't move. But to say that a plant learn, it's difficult for us literally to see that. So to experience that. And so because of our own sensorial difficulty, we're just assuming it's not there. But when you slow the time down of the human, so that you can enter the time of the plant, and you can do that, obviously, we use technology as well to support us in support our sensory apparatus to be able to enter in those spaces. Then some things become really obvious, I mean, anybody can do a time lapse of germinating seedlings. And of course, if you're just staring at the seedling, you don't see anything. But if you let the camera capture those images over time, and only in a few days, you would see a lot of movement. It's not just growth. It's like a lot of movement, searching for light, searching for things. exploring. And so I guess, so the difficulty and the core of the debate, it's about our inability to see them for who they are, because they embody and they inhabit a very different time and spatial landscape, basically. And then there is also, on top of that, there is our own anthropocentric bias, which drives much of the debate. And the bias is very simple. It says, like, humans have a brain, humans have a nervous system. This is how we do those things that we call learning, memory, and all of the cognitive stuff. So basically, unless you are similar to me and you do things as I do them, you can't do them. That's how pathetic and how basic the thing is, which actually is quite nonsensical, but because the evidence shows exactly the opposite. Like, you don't actually need a brain and a neural system. It might be, if you have one, that's how you do it, because that's how your system works, but it doesn't preclude other systems to do exactly the same process in a different way. So plants are challenging that because they're doing it in a different way. And we don't necessarily understand how yet, but the behavioral evidence and the physiological responses that we can measure tell us that they can definitely do. So in a way, the question of whether plants are intelligent or should we explore the intelligence of plants, it's kind of like a mute question. Because it's like, but of course they are intelligent. How can anybody be here without being able to remember, learn, make decision? You wouldn't survive very long. Actually, you wouldn't survive at all. And if we remember that plants have been on a long evolutionary timescale, plants have been here way before us. They've been finding very intelligent solutions to some serious challenges, and they're still here. So obviously there is something that they're doing that is very right.